Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. If you're a creator, athlete, or entrepreneur, luck can only get you so far. Having the right skill sets are critical in your success. All Skill No Luck makes handcrafted, custom-designed flannel wear, made in the United States and based here right in Oceanside, California. They pride themselves on quality, creativity, and attitude. The perfect brand for the Creative Brew. Use promo code CreativeBrew10 and get 10% off and free shipping within the United States. You can check them out at allskillnoluck.com. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code Elevate21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading. Or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. Hey, this show is brought to you by Tennessee Grappling Apparel, based out of the Knoxville area. Lifestyle wear for the modern wrestler or grappler. Use the promo code CB10 on your next purchase at TennesseeGrapplingApparel.com. And welcome to a new episode of the Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. Today we've got a special episode, and these are actually two individuals that they were some of the head clinicians at a beach wrestling camp, in connection with Palomar Wrestling and North County Wrestling Club. And the thing about wrestling is that with a sport like this, you can get connected in just weird little ways. So I got the pleasure of meeting CJ, Reece, and like I said, they've got some great accolades, and more importantly, they've got some things developing right now for adult wrestling, and we'll talk about that later. But I've been a advocate of being a continual student and someone that I'm going to continue wrestling, going to continue doing jiu-jitsu, just learning different styles. For the most part, just bettering myself, and I want to stay in shape. I want to stay healthy. I always joke with my wife. I was like, I want to be able to be 80, 90, 100 years old and still, be healthy and rolling around with my grandkids and great grandkids. And so that's something like that I always have in the back of my mind, like, just longevity and having fun, while we're doing it. But without further ado, I'm going to let CJ sort of introduce themselves, and we'll get the episode started.
All right. So he's a three-time world team member for Team USA Freestyle Wrestling, two-time veteran world champion. Yeah. In the same year, back to back. Freestyle Greco. Can't stop me. Two-time All-American at Ohio State, and now I'm the head coach at the NJRTC. CJ was a former athlete of mine, so that'll bring him in.
Yeah. So Southside Chi-Town kid. Been migrating east. I went to Central Michigan, and then after that went on the East Coast. Figured I scratched the itch and kept competing, being under Reece. And, I had some success at the senior level, two-time U.S. Open placer. I coach at the College of New Jersey. So I've just been diving headfirst into the Jersey scene, man. I love it out there. So it's become a little bit of a home away from home for me.
CJ can't leave the sport. He can't.
Nah. Not a chance.
We keep trying to kick him out, but he keeps
Q, I was going to say, man, you're talking about, is it possible to do this until you're 80, 90, 100 years old? I mean, Reece is doing it. He's your proof right there. He's your proof.
Well, anything is possible, man. Even this old man. Some of these young bucks.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I actually, like I said, I know I actually just got done competing. I went to the Masters U.S. Open last year, or actually this year, ended up placing, and that was fun. I mean, I actually saw 70, 80-year-old guys getting tossed.
And, that's what it's all about.
So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I did see people on oxygen machines too, but
it's crazy though. People people downplay the Masters division.
Oh yeah,
it's legit.
Oh, yeah.
It is legit.
Oh,
like there's such an avenue, and I think it's going to continue to grow. So from the year before I won the veterans to this past year when you competed, it got exponentially tougher. My brother used to walk through that tournament. It was kind of a joke for him, and now he ended up losing in freestyle. But it's like he had some tough matches, man. There's some really good dudes in there. There's guys that wrestle every single day that coach their club and their technique is good and they still want to wrestle. It's like the avenue to wrestle and not have to run into Zane Rutherford is going to continue to grow, you know? So it's not quite the senior level, but there is such a huge market of people who still wrestle all the time with their club kids and are pretty good and have gotten better. And I think that tournament's going to continue to grow. And hopefully we can facilitate that with this adult wrestling class that we've been going to, or we've been running. But the competition for our class, I'm just going to jump right into the adult wrestling. I don't know what the schedule is.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So the whole goal behind our class is fitness and self-defense, fun, dance, getting a roll in. Jiu-jitsu crushes this market. And we feel like there's a ton of wrestlers out there that still want this avenue to get a sweat in. We all don't have the balls that CJ has. He just wants to get in there and fight with the Rutherfords and the Humphreys of the world, you know what I'm saying?
Got a little bit left, man. I got a little bit left.
But there are a ton of people who want to get a sweat in. And I know me personally, if I didn't have the outlet to wrestle with my guys, I don't know what I would do. You know, I can't get on a treadmill and run for 2 hours. It's just not possible. I'd be broken. So I get to roll and sweat and learn some new skills and put my body through some kind of torture that doesn't feel like torture, you know, and we can get back into shape in a really positive way. And we can take the skills that we learn and bring them to our clubs or bring them to our kids. And it's just an all around really good thing. And it's fun. It's not competition based, but in our classes, of course, there are going to be some guys that want to compete, and that's great too, but that's not our goal. Our goal is fitness, fun, health, and having a good time.
That's great.
That's the basic approach. I was going to say, but go ahead, Q.
No. I was going to say, CJ, if there's anything you wanted to elaborate on with the adult wrestling.
CJ, on the dance portion.
The biggest thing is, like we're trying to take a different approach. We're figuring this thing out, Q. There's a lot to figure out. It's a whole different outlook at the sport, you know? So that's going to be accepted in a bunch of different ways. There's going to be people that are going to come in and want to compete, but the general idea is giving them that ability. You know, there's so many adult leagues for basketball. There's so many adult leagues for, you know, slow pitch baseball. You know what I mean? Like you can be involved in a sport for basically your whole life. In every other sport, it's a hobby. And that's what we're trying to kind of create, that platform for wrestling. And if it inspires somebody to go out to the US Open and compete and knock heads, then so be it, you know, but we're at least giving them that opportunity to dust the shoes off, strap them up and have fun in the process, learn from high level technicians, people that have been in the sport for a long time. And this, you know, like you talk about a healthy cycle, Reece, it's going to try and impact other areas of their life, you know, because nobody really understands what putting in, you know, what this sport can teach you, you know, so there's ways of taking advantage of that while still having a fun approach. You're not going to be running sprints. You're not going to be, you know, hopefully not, you know, busting anything where team don't get hurt, you know, team Tylenol for sure. Ultimately we need you to show up to the next practice, you know. But that's what we're trying to change the stigma. It's a whole different look.
Wrestling has such a stigma that it's got to be so aggressive. It's got to be hand fighting and you got to bang heads. And that's why jiu-jitsu, the market's so huge, because you can get in and roll. You know, you can be loose and you can learn technique. We can do that in wrestling. It just takes everybody. It's a combined effort to not be such a meathead all the time, you know. And so the more we can pull back from that aggressiveness, we can do more of that longevity that you're talking about. And because if you come into 2 practices and you blow your ACL, it's not for you. So we're trying to stay as far away from that as we can. And so we got our guys doing cartwheels, which is always hilarious. People haven't done cartwheels in 15 years. We make them do lefty cartwheels and they're okay. And then we make them do the righty cartwheel.
I make my wrestling class with a lot of my fighters. We do that, and I'm amazed. I was like, okay, because I love doing handstands and cartwheels, and still doing them. But I'll be like, okay, who knows how to do a cartwheel? And it'll be like half the class. You know, when we got like 20, 30-year-olds in there, you know, like half the class knows how to do a cartwheel. I was like, all right, well, let's see you do it. And I mean, it's like a sack of potatoes dropping on the mat. I was like, it's amazing. I mean, it's.
Oh man, that's a skill you have to have. You never know when you're going down. You got to do a cartwheel to save yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, a forward roll, something as basic as that. I mean, and that's the process. You know, I'm learning how to walk on my hands in that room. You know, I haven't gotten wall to wall yet, but
yeah. CJ, we were carrying a pool table the other day, maybe a couple of months ago, and we ran into a step. That pool table was going down. It would have killed me, but I did a forward roll, smooth, popped up on my feet, gave that lady a hug, and then I was out of there.
Spider-Man, yo. You never know when you need to bust out a cartwheel.
Yeah, no.
A little forward roll action.
Wow. So,
yeah.
So quick question, and like I said, still staying with adult wrestling, you know, why is it, and I know for a lot of people, you know, they feel like, okay, I go through high school, or possibly for the select few that make it through college, and then they end up stopping. Why do you think it's so easy for a lot of people to stop, you know, wrestling, as far as like once they feel like their career is done?
There's no avenue. There's no
there's that. There's definitely no outlet for somebody to go in the room. I mean, if somebody wants to even learn wrestling that's never been involved in it, I mean, you have to go to a basic level kids class, and that just looks weird if you have an adult that's sitting in on an adult level kids class. But I think one of the other things is how hard the sport is when you're involved in it. I mean, there's people that take PTSD from wrestling with them the rest of their life, you know, whether it's with their diet because they were cutting weight they never could eat for the longest time, and, you know, they're eating whatever they want now, or if it's, you know, they pushed themselves so long and so hard in the sport that, you know, they don't take kindly to working out for fun. They lose the sense of like that healthy relationship with fitness, and also their joints are diminished. You know, a 24-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid coming out of college has got joints like a 45-year-old, you know? So it's like, you need to take a step away for a little bit. It definitely, it puts you in this place where you're broken a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And since we've been running these classes, the amount of people that we've been running for what, I don't know, less than 6 months, maybe around there. And the amount of people that have come up to us to say we changed their lives, it's like, that's what keeps us going. It's such an amazing thing. I had a guy, he was an MMA guy. He's a fitness instructor, but he told me he ended up competing at the Veteran Worlds this year. He got bronze in the last second takedown in Greco. And he told me he was 50 pounds heavier. He trains guys, but he was like, I just didn't live the life because I'm a competitor and I didn't have anything to put it on the calendar. And he said he saw me and he messaged me. He saw me win the gold last year, and then he messaged me on Twitter. I said, come on, man, let's do it. And we kind of talked back and forth. He said he changed his entire life. He'll never go back. He's going to wrestle forever. And it's just such a positive thing to be in there and have a group of a team. You know, you don't have to lose that when you graduate high school, or if you're lucky enough to wrestle in college. You can still have that team, and we have it too at this club. We got a bunch of consistent guys, and I mean, it feels like we're the OG squad. That's what we are. We're the OGWC, the
OGWC. Old guy, old gal wrestling
gals. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was what's cool about the dynamic of the room when we first started. We didn't really know who we were, you know, going to get in there. We didn't know what consistency we were going to have, but it turned into a room that there was, you know, we looked forward to it every week. We had this banter with each other. You know, we've got our secret handshake. We got all these things that are making it part of a group. And like, you don't have that unless you're, you know, involved in a team, and there's limited avenues for that. Number one, after you're done competing, that window of college, high school, whatever, but also in the sport of wrestling, you know? And it was cool to see. I think we had our youngest was 18 years old and our oldest was 67 years old in the room at the same time, learning the same sport, having, you know, the same amount of fun. Like, we were dancing, they're all participating in it. This, you know, it's goofy. We're laughing at each other, at ourselves, you know, but it's a unique experience, especially in wrestling, you know, and that's what we're trying to create.
And so moving forward, I'm gonna add one last thing on this. So we are going to create a video series on all the techniques that we do, how to run the practice. If you buy the series and you watch it and you can prove to us, we'll do a Zoom with you. You can prove to us that you know it. you can be a certified OG trainer, and then you can open a class wherever you want. You can be a certified OG. Yeah, you can be one, CJ.
That's a cool idea. That's a great idea.
You can open it, you can put our name on it, and everybody will know what they're getting. They'll be getting really high level technique, and you can interchange these 5-minute blocks that we do. And then we have a part of the practice where you get to show your own technique and you break it down, and they run our practice and they run what's close to our technique, and then they add their own little details to it. But you'll know what you're getting when you walk into an OG room. And so, yeah, man, I think it'll be nationwide pretty soon, awesome. Within a couple of years. Yeah.
Man, that's a great idea. Great idea. Wow. So with this, do you see you see yourself sort of possibly sort of franchising this?
Franchising it at their own place. You know, it can be out of your wrestling room, at your gym, your jiu-jitsu place. You got an MMA gym with the guy who wants to coach the wrestling there. Done. Use our system. Boom. You can have it. We'll take 1%. Whatever it is.
Yeah, we'll come out, do clinics too. Like, we want to visit. We want to make it it's still like a consistent culture, you know, like we want to make sure that the class is consistent to the experience we kind of brought out in Jersey, you know, but it's about proving it's a successful blueprint in Jersey and then spreading that across the country. We want to go international with it. I mean, there's no limit to this because everybody can benefit from wrestling. Anybody can benefit from a class that you're going in, getting work in and having a good time with like-minded individuals. You know, that's the culture that we're trying to create. And it's really possible. We've seen it. We've seen it in Jersey. We felt it, but it is also, it's tough, Q, with any entrepreneurial endeavor. You're going to hit those highs and lows. You know, we're going to hit a period of time where you don't see the growth aspect that you might have anticipated at the start. You know, you're encouraged at the start because it's a fresh idea. There's buzz around it. And then you hit the long, you know, those long periods of time where the only thing that's keeping you going is the consistency, the dedication is showing up, and you have some people that are showing up every week. But yeah, that growth, you know, you start to question whether or not this is something that is going to work at the pace that we thought it was going to work, or, you know, at the volume that we wanted to work at.
Yeah.
But there was that lull, and then bang, we did the summer tour and it was back on again, you know? So it's that roller coaster that we're riding. But in the end, I truly believe in the idea. Myself and Reece both truly believe in the idea and the impact that it can make on the world. So it's worth the work at the front end to see it blossom, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a great concept. I mean, I know I just connected with the, I guess there's a Facebook page for a lot of the veteran wrestlers. And there is a hardcore group of people that, you know, everybody's got their club teams, they're all competing or they're all traveling to certain, you know, places or working out with their own team. So it's a great, I mean, it's sort of a core little niche and family that I think is quietly expanding. I mean, I know even when I went to the US Open, I mean, I had people, old coaches and wrestlers saying, hey, look, I think I want to do this next year.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where, just giving, you know, you give people that sort of glimmer of hope and feel like, wait a minute, you know, like no one told me to stop. You know, I felt like,
right,
you were saying there was no avenue. And when you feel like, okay, wow, there might be another chance to do something, then, you know, people start to lace up some shoes and everything else.
Oh yeah, hit that spark again.
Come on.
Yeah, and there's some high level wrestlers that come through too. And I think one of the best classes we ran, you know, we had old Rutgers guys, old Rider guys. These are D1 athletes that haven't put the shoes on in, I think he said 2 decades. And, you know, it was like, you know, he had a twinkle in his eye by the end of practice because you forget how much you miss it, especially if you're not running sprints at the end or doing buddy carries and fireman's carries. You know, we're not going to be screaming at you on the whistle. You know, it's different. So, yeah, like you see that impact, and there's no reason why we can't take this to the top, ride it to the top.
Yeah, it is different. It's just all the good parts of wrestling.
All the good parts of wrestling.
All the good, none of the bad.
Cut the fat.
No cutting weight, no one yelling at you, no wind sprints. We're just promoting having fun listening to old 90s rap.
Old 90s rap, yeah. You can drink plenty of water. We give plenty of hydration breaks.
Oh wow, okay. So 90s rap. Who do you have top? Give me your top top 3 90s rap.
We got a whole practice party playlist.
But you know, I think we start. There's a lot of Naughty by Nature in there. Yeah. You know, you got your Tupac, you got your Biggie.
Okay.
We throwing it back for real, but we're also trying to bring a little new school into it. You know, a little Mac Miller.
These two artists. You know, highlighting young Bruck, they come out.
These two guys that coming in. You get the surprise feature.
A couple live performances, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, that might be the place to be. Shoot, y'all over here rocking.
Yeah.
So that's a segue right there. That's a professional segue that Reece just threw in there. Yeah. Right before we got on this call, we got sent a couple of new tracks that we're working on. So the other endeavor is music, because it's that creative outlet. You know, I've never really exercised this creative outlet. I played the viola when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, but I absolutely hated it because nobody really.
So you can still do that sharp A though. I've heard it.
I can hit that sharp A, yeah. But Beethoven wasn't writing any bangers for me. I promise. I mean, he might have been writing some bangers, but not my style, right? So now we've got a whole nother avenue, and that's just been a blast in and of itself. I'll tell you that much.
That's awesome. So have y'all always had the sort of creative or sort of entrepreneurial gene? I mean, is this something that, even with both y'all, and both you can sort of answer this question, was this something that you felt like always been there? Like felt like, oh, well, I've got an idea for this. Let's see if we can execute it. Or maybe I have the creative flair to do this. Is this something both of you always sort of had going through your career, and now having the avenue to actually do it?
Yeah. So for me, it was just like, I always did better at my couple things that I was really focused on if I was busy working on something else. Like I always wanted to work on some new type of athletic trick, or I wanted to write a song, or I don't know what it was. It was always something else. And so I think you nailed it. It was always like an idea. I was the idea guy. I've had 100 ideas and maybe I follow through on 3 of them, you know, but now I'm getting older. I'll put more time into it. And CJ does a great job keeping me honest and making sure I follow through with the adult wrestling. You know, that's why it's so good to have a partner going through this. And then with music, he pushes me and then I fall into a lull, and then I'll push him and when he's on a down, and we just continue to do it, and we're getting better at it. And it's the most fun thing ever. It's my favorite place in the world, being in the studio. And so like, we were trash when we first came in, and maybe some people think we're still trash, but I think we have some really good stuff coming out. And who cares if anybody listens to it, because I'm a rock star when I'm in there.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Rock star. You can't tell me different. It's my favorite part of chasing something, man. I'm always chasing something. When the Olympic dream was gone for me, what can I continue to chase? And it was coaching an Olympic champ, and that's awesome. But I like doing these side quests, and music is such a fulfilling thing that if we get really good at it, that'd be amazing. But the process of it is so fun. I'll always do it.
That's great.
100%. Yeah, I think piggybacking off of that, I've always had ideas. Like I had an idea. I wanted to open up my own club back home. On the south side. We never really had a club that we could lean on. You had to kind of go to the north suburbs in the Chicagoland area. But yeah, I was the idea guy. But I like Reece woke me up. Reece woke me up and he says, start doing, because it's only talk until you make it a reality. So even with adult wrestling, I pick up the phone and start making calls, get in the studio, start writing, and who cares what people think, who cares about the risk? Because that's the one thing that's holding a lot of people back. There's a lot of amazing ideas out there that have never become tangible because people are scared of what other people are going to think about it. Yep. And, what I've started to realize, I'm not quite as old as old head over there, but, you only live once. You only live once, and you gotta you got to send it at some point or another. Otherwise it's going to eat you alive if you're sitting at, you know.
Yeah, don't want to be in the phase of I woulda or I wish I could have, because that's not going to be me. I'm doing it.
You will not catch me.
We'll do it. I'm going to make a ton of mistakes. People are going to make fun of me, but I'm doing, and they're sitting on a couch.
That is the truth. That is the truth right there. That's something where, it definitely hits home, because I'm one of those, ideal people. And, I always have just stuff just sort of coming through my brain, and I have to sort of decide, okay, what do I want to actually pursue? That's going to be, that I know I could really execute on. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that's got great ideals, and they sit on it and sit on it and sit on it. And that stuff will eat you alive. I've seen it personally, and, it's just one of those where you always have to figure out ways of sort of expressing that creative, power in some form or fashion. If you don't, it's stuck in your brain, and you'll sit there and it just turns negative real quick. I
agree. And
stuff to it.
The other thing too is I see it as a double-edged sword at a certain point, like, because it's eating you alive with regret, because you're thinking about the things that you could be doing, should be doing, would be doing if you didn't care about what other people think. But it's also like you're not allowing yourself to have that creative outlet. So you're also not, it's therapy in and of itself, whatever that outlet is for you, running, fitness, you're drawing, you're painting, you're singing, you're half-ass rapping, you're doing what you can. But in the end, it's what's going to make you happy, because your body and your mind needs that type of outlet to, to express yourself. I agree.
Yeah, that's great. I know. I sort of secretly wanted to do like an open mic, like a comedy mic
Come
night.
on.
Hell yeah! I've been talking about.
Let's all do it. I'll do it.
So that's one, because I'll see it all the time. I'm like, man, I was like, I might want to just try that out and just try comedy. And
comedy's no joke. It seems so scary, casual, but it's tough. It's tough. The timing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Every avenue possible.
Oh yeah. So right now, I mean, I know we've been talking about adult wrestling, but both of y'all seem like you've got some things always sort of just brewing inside your heads. What things are you brewing on right now? Things that's inspiring you right now, or maybe potential projects that you feel like is on the horizon you might want to pursue.
I got one.
What are the things for you?
New podcast. CJ highlighting.
He dropped it.
We're gonna start a podcast. We got all the equipment. Our boy Anton Payne, we did a podcast for him. It's called Fighting for Success, and he kind of sponsored it.
Shout out Anton.
Yeah, no, he's helping us out, getting us started, and he believes in us, and he wants us to continue to do it. So he hooked us up, and he bought the gear for us. So we just got 4 mics, the headphones. I'm setting it up right now. We got the master board and everything. We're trying to figure it all out, but it takes a couple people to push you like that and believe in you. That makes it a lot easier. But we're very fortunate to have somebody like that to kind of force us into the situation, because the idea, guys, it's like I found myself having these ideas like, man, why won't someone just help me and do the things that I'm not that good at? And I'm waiting, but it's never going to happen. It's your vision. It's your idea. If you want to have it come to fruition, you have to realize that no one's ever going to help you. It's not going to happen. You got to just do it. If you want it to happen, you have to do it. Just
do it. Just do it.
Who is that? What's his name? Shia LaBeouf. That's it. Yeah.
Shout out Shia.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, you just have to do it. And if you fail along the way, then who cares? Like, people, on
to the next one.
Yeah, you might have some failures, and people may make fun of you in that moment, and it feels like shit, but no one cares. They like the guys that want to try stuff, because they don't do it. So I'm willing to get made fun of a few times for the chance of being a rock star, being a podcast guy. You're doing it. Who cares? I don't know if people want to listen to us, but I think we're funny.
Hate is the new love. Hate is the new love.
New love, man. That's old school too. Everybody hates.
So what's gonna be the name? So what's gonna be the name of your podcast?
No Genre. We can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Welcome to No Genre.
Yeah, so it's always going to be, and so what we want is always going to be wrestling related. I think we're going to be talking about a lot of wrestling topics, just because who we are. But we'll talk about music. We'll talk about what's going on in our lives. We'll have guests on, talk about we know a lot of really cool people, mainly through wrestling context, but people who aren't just wrestlers, you know? And so we'll bring those guys out whenever we throw a party at our house. We'll do the podcast first, and then we'll get back to the party.
Yeah.
That's a podcast. That's a show right there.
Yeah. Bring the party to the booth.
That needs video and everything else.
We need a reality show to go along with the podcast, because I'll tell you what, my son, he's got 5 friends over here every single day of the week. He's getting ready to, who knows what he's getting ready to get into, but it's going to be something. My daughter is getting into music. She's going to start to blow up. So
I love it.
I want to share the process of all this happening, because I believe what they're getting ready to do is going to be really special, and not just to me, but I think they're going to make an impact. And so if we can capture it the best we can, amazing, whatever that turns into.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the day one endeavor, right? Is kind of setting up your kids to surpass anything you've ever accomplished. You know, I'm not in a position. I mean, you know, one of my life goals is to raise a family. I'm not in that position, you know, but I know one thing is that Reece and Parker have had a crazy impact on my life, being involved in their family, watching them grow from little kids, savage boys turn into a savage man. Almost. He's getting there. Yeah. And Reece is something special. Like they, you know, I don't know, cultivating that to take on your name after you is that's what life's about as well. So I'm excited for those two.
Uncle CJ has been a big part of their lives too. You know, sometimes he won't leave, but
I live at the Humphrey Funhouse. That's the reality TV show name right there.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I see that as a reality TV show. That's
yeah, man. So if anybody's out there wants to put a couple little budget together for the boys,
let's go.
I can almost see CJ pop it in, and then you have the applause with the sitcom. You have the
people boo,
people boo, people clap. Oh yeah, love it.
Well, yeah, that'd be a show.
It would be one hell of a show.
So right now, you know, creative tips. You know, what are some creative tips for our audience? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I think we already touched on it, man. Just do it.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say. Is like start the littlest item. Just start doing. You know, and I'm talking. So my mom right now, she's getting ready to retire. She's been a librarian for almost 30 years. And she, you know, her life goal is to write children's books and actual, you know, novels as well, public speaking. And she's starting to put one foot in that arena. She's starting to public speak and whatnot. But Reece, you said it, you got a million ideas up in the head. It's like, you have to focus on one, write one book, and then it becomes something tangible, not only, you know, in the world, but in your reality. Like it happened now. And it's a snowball effect. Once you start with the littlest step, you know, like just send it.
If you have 100 ideas and you do 3 of them, you're ahead.
Right.
Ahead of everybody. So just start doing it and be authentic. I think be who you are. Don't try and follow someone else's dream because you think that's what's cool. Do what you think is cool and be who you are. And people respond to that.
That's great. Awesome tips. That's something that I definitely think that'll resonate with audiences, everybody listening right now. And is, you know, sometimes we just gotta get out of our heads and just do it and execute on it. You know, it's so weird that, you know, even as wrestlers, you know, we're able to execute on shots and winning matches. Then we get into something that's really scary or really outside of our realm, and then we're just stuck, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna dip my toe in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, get uncomfortable.
Yeah,
be fearless. Tap into that avenue. You know, we've all been there before. We're all comfortable being uncomfortable in a lot of different aspects, but sometimes it takes a little bit more. It takes that push. You know, so here's that push.
Yeah, and I got one more. Tell somebody you're gonna do it. It kind of holds you accountable. And maybe it goes one ear in one ear and out the other one, but to you just told somebody. Now it's like, dang, I got to do it.
Manifestations, actionalizations, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Were you otherwise
you're a phony? What's that?
Manifestations,
actualizations. You feel me?
My patience. Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
I gotta sign up. I gotta go right. I gotta go. Where my pen at?
Oh, CJ is dropping bars today. Wow.
Where my B rabbit at?
Well, you know what? Words of wisdom. What are some words of wisdom that you can share with our audience? Someone that, maybe someone that happens to listen to this episode next week or the next couple of weeks, or maybe a year from now, they find CJ and Reece and they find this episode. What are some words of wisdom that you feel like would resonate with people's minds and spirits?
Learn from everybody. Everybody's got something to teach to you. So I learned this the most from being around Jordan Burroughs all the time. It's almost like he's doing it to show people that he's doing it, but the guy listens to every single person in the room always. It's annoying. It's what it is. He's so freaking good at everything. It's annoying. That's how it's like I'm always watching him, and he's really listening to guys who would never touch him on the mat, and he's listening, but he's picking up different things. Like, this guy's got this sick move. Let me figure that out. Coach Zadek's talking about this, and Joe Russell talking about this. It's just like he's always trying to figure it out. And that's why he's had such longevity in the sport. And he's now the greatest American wrestler of all time, because he's been learning from everybody all the time. Drop the ego. You're not as good as you think you are. Get better. Always. So we just had a ton of meetings this week at the NJRTC. And the whole thing I realized from all of it is everybody can get better. And so just be better all the time, even if, some things aren't going great and you want to get defensive about it, stop, just get better.
Mm-hmm. That's great. What about you, CJ?
Yeah, I think wisdom. Once again, professional. I got a whole MBA, but no wisdom. The professional segue coming from Reece. I mean, my thing is that I'm on a consistent, a constant journey to putting my best self out in the world. And there's so many different avenues to get better in life. And, I'm never going to stop exploring those avenues, until it is over. Right. Because that's the true key to living life and finding happiness is pursuing every angle that you've ever had an idea about, or never had an idea about. Maybe somebody inspires you to go that way, but do all the side quests.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Nate said a good one. Nate said a good one yesterday. He said, be as close as you can to the best version that you think you could be today. He said, strive towards that, because someone was like, they're getting down to weight, and someone was kind of throwing a little hissy fit. It's like, it's crazy how that'll turn grown men into soft.
Oh, yeah. It'll break you.
It's just like, when things are going bad and it's just not perfect, you said, be the best version of what you think you should be, and try and act like that at all times. And, you'll do great some days, you won't do great some days, but you'll be the best. You're trying the best with a goal. And so I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Wow. That's from, wasn't it Nate Jackson?
Nate Jackson.
Yeah. For anyone that especially, I know within the wrestling community, everybody knows him. But outside the wrestling community, Nate Jackson, great wrestler. I see him training with a lot of different people, and his name gets brought up so many times, being a great training partner and having a lot of insight and wisdom, especially in the training. That's a name that always pops up.
Yeah.
Not only that, Nate's pursuing a million different endeavors as well. He founded Black Wrestling Association. He's been putting so much time and energy into that, and that's become a huge part of our sport now. And that all started with Nate Jackson. Yep. He had a vision, and he made it happen. Talk about making something tangible. And it's admirable how many pursuits that he's able to juggle at one time.
4 kids and everything. So me and Nate
4 kids. Yeah,
it was just Nate and I. So we called it the Nate Jackson RTC. The NJRTC. And so in the beginning, there was one point where I said, I'm your coach. When I'm wrong, I'm right. When I'm right, I'm right. And so I'm always right. And he bought into it. It's like stuck with him. He still brings it up to this day. He said, it's like, it doesn't matter if your coach is right or wrong. He's trying to help you. It doesn't matter if your dad or mom is right or wrong. They're trying to help you the best they can. And the best way for you to receive help is to be bought in and try the stuff. Because especially at the senior level, if I try a new move, the chances of it working day one are zero. You know, so you have to actually buy into it and believe what the coach is telling you for you to actually grow. And Nate, he was at a situation where he sucked at freestyle. He didn't know anything. So he had to listen to everything I had to say. And then we've just stayed on that same path. And he's way better than I've ever been. And
world champ.
He's going to win the world. He's going to win the
world
Olympics.
champ.
I really believe it. And he's still, he reminds me of JB. He's asking every single question. He's learning from the college guys. And he's being his best self on the mat, off the mat, just pursuing Black Wrestling Association, finding sponsors for himself. He's just doing everything right now. And this is a really good time for him. He's getting ready to make the team, win the world, set himself up to make the Olympic team. I think it's all gonna come to fruition. And it's because of a lot of hard work for a long time.
Let's go, Nate.
Let's go, Nate. Come on.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Man, that's great. That is awesome. So, you know, ending with this episode, you know, how can people reach out to both of y'all, you know, as far as social media, email, website, you know, people want to get connected maybe with adult wrestling or maybe bring you out for a clinic or anything like that, or maybe a concert, who knows?
Hey, yo, come on. Clinic and a concert. That sounds like
a little clinic concert, the first of its kind.
Hey,
come on.
Beach wrestling with CJ and Highlight.
Yep.
Brother, hey, I'm going to mark that down.
We love you, California.
We gotta do it again. Hey, set up a mic night next time we come out.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it all.
Come on.
Yeah, but you can reach me at Highlight Humphrey on Instagram, Young Bruck on Instagram for CJ.
Young Bruck.
And then our adult wrestling page is Veteran Wrestling NJ. So you can find all of our stuff. We have some pretty hilariously stupid clips on there.
Terrible editing. Terrible editing. We're not always been my artistic gift. But we're doing what we can. It's hilarious.
So bad. They're so good.
You will not regret it.
I'm about to check that out now.
Oh man, but yeah, man, thanks for having us on. This has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I always appreciate a platform to share what we got going on, and hopefully it, you know, something resonated with somebody today, you know, and feel free to reach out. You know, I always want to hear feedback. I always want to have those conversations. That's what it's all about. So
yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Hey, well, thank you for coming on. Like I said, this episode will be available probably in the next couple of weeks. This will be available on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and then on my radio partner, heliumradio.com, which is on the East Coast. So that'll be available in a few weeks, this episode. And then also too, there's different ways of supporting this show. If you want to support this show in any form or fashion, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/the Creative Brew. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can support this episode as well as future episodes of the show. And like I said, I got some different ideas, some things I'm wanting to do, potentially traveling around. Biggest idea was actually going around the country, hopefully, and going to different, gyms, training centers, talking to coaches like both of y'all, drinking coffee, seeing the city. So that's one of my big ideas that I have with the show. And then also too, I have a potential coffee brand coming through. It's called the Creative Brew. So
let's go.
Got some coffee coming through with that. So talking about executing on ideals, we got to do it.
Damn.
So
he's doing it.
So we got that coming down the pipe too. So if you want to support this show, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/the Creative Brew. And then, like I said, you can support. And then also too, quick shout out to my sponsors, Elevate Coffee Trading, based out of the Dallas area. All Skill, No Luck. They do high quality flannel and accessories right here in Oceanside, California. Great company, great brand. Then we got Next Level Inspiration. This was actually started, an inspirational lifestyle brand, started from one of my former college wrestlers. You can go to Next Level Inspiration. And then you got Tennessee Grappling Apparel, and they do lifestyle apparel for grapplers and wrestlers based out of Tennessee, Knoxville area. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to them too. So other than that, hey, this has been another great episode with CJ, with Reece. Please check out everything they got going on. And I'll share everything when this show releases. But other than that, this is the Creative Brew. Be creative, stay inspired.
Won't take it. Life is about to give you ups and downs, all the wins and the outs and the smiles and frowns. They will tell you, settle down, stay on the ground. But no, I won't take it. No, we won't take it. This ain't my first trip around the block or the rodeo. Nope. I've been through Alabama shit, all the homies know. True. You lose it all together.